Have you ever felt that despite achieving all your worldly goals, there's a hidden emptiness in your heart? A missing piece that no amount of success can fill? This is the story of Mustafa, a man who once thrived in the light of the Sunnah but slowly found himself wandering in the shadows of modern life. Mustafa grew up in a close-knit community where the sound of the Adhan was the morning melody and the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, were woven into every conversation. In his youth, he embraced the daily rhythm of life, waking up for Fajr, spending quiet moments in Dikeka, and offering a smile or a helping hand wherever needed. His faith was the compass that guided every decision, and the Sunnah was the path that kept his heart aligned with the divine. As Mustafa entered adulthood, ambition and the demands of a Tier 1 city began to shape his daily routine. He landed a promising job, and soon his days were consumed by endless meetings, tight deadlines, and the constant buzz of modern technology. At first, he justified missing a few early morning prayers as a necessary sacrifice for career growth. I can catch up later, he thought, unaware that with every skipped prayer, a vital link to his inner peace was fading. Over time, the small sacrifices accumulated. The habits that had once brought him clarity and comfort were gradually replaced by stress and anxiety. Mustafa began to notice subtle changes in himself. The peaceful mornings turned into rushed routines, and the calm, reflective evenings were replaced by restless nights spent scrolling through social media. He started to feel a disconnect, a quiet, gnawing emptiness that no amount of professional success or material gain could soothe. One evening, feeling particularly lost and burdened by this inner void, Mustafa decided to take a solitary walk through a park nestled in the heart of the city. The cool night air and the gentle rustling of leaves provided a temporary escape from the overwhelming pace of his daily life. As he wandered along a quiet path illuminated by soft streetlights, he noticed an elderly man sitting alone on a worn bench. There was something deeply serene about the man, a radiance that contrasted starkly with Mustafa's inner turmoil. Curiosity and a desperate need for guidance urged Mustafa to sit beside him. The old man introduced himself as Ahmad, and over a shared cup of tea from a nearby vendor, began to recount his own journey, a journey marked by a similar drift away from the practices of the Sunnah. Ahmad spoke in a calm, measured tone, recalling how in his younger days he too had once been caught up in the relentless pursuit of worldly gains. He described the turning point in his life when he realized that neglecting the Sunnah was not a minor lapse, but a significant departure from the source of true peace and balance. And reminded Mustafa of a famous saying of the Prophet, peace be upon him. Oh, verily, the most beloved of deeds to Allah are those that are most consistent, even if they are small. His words struck a deep chord within Mustafa. He remembered the days when he would rise with gratitude, when his heart was light, and every act, no matter how small, was imbued with purpose and reflection. In that moment, Mustafa recognized that his hectic lifestyle had gradually eroded his spiritual foundation, leaving him vulnerable to stress, isolation, and inner despair. Motivated by this encounter, Mustafa resolved to return to the roots of his faith. The next day, before the first light of dawn crept into the skyline, he set his alarm early and stepped out for Fajr, despite the temptation to hit the snooze button. That morning, as he stood in quiet contemplation under a soft pre-dawn sky, he felt a spark of the peace he had long missed. It wasn't an immediate cure, but it was a beginning, a step back toward the tranquility of the Sunnah. Mustafa's journey of reconnection wasn't without its challenges. Adjusting to a new routine in the midst of a bustling city required discipline and unwavering determination. There were days when the pressure of work and the lure of modern distractions threatened to pull him back into old habits. However, every time he felt the familiar pull of stress and disconnection, he remembered Ahmad's gentle wisdom. He began to set aside time for quiet reflection, even if it was just a few minutes between meetings, and made a conscious effort to reconnect with his family and community. Over the following weeks, Mustafa noticed profound changes. The consistency of his early morning prayers rekindled a sense of inner calm that he thought was lost forever. The simple act of greeting his neighbors, offering a kind word, or donating a small portion of his income to charity restored the bonds he once took for granted. His renewed adherence to the Sunnah not only lightened the weight on his heart, but also improved his relationships at work and home. Colleagues remarked on his calm demeanor, and friends expressed admiration for the renewed sparkle in his eyes. A sparkle born from a heart that had found its way back to Allah. One particularly memorable day, Mustafa was invited to speak at a local community event about his personal journey. Standing before a diverse crowd, he recounted how neglecting the Sunnah had once led him down a path of isolation and spiritual emptiness. With a gentle yet passionate tone, he shared how returning to the simple, consistent acts of worship had transformed his life. He spoke of the immense rewards that come from even the smallest acts of kindness, echoing the Prophet's teaching that consistency, no matter how modest, can illuminate the darkest of times. The response was overwhelming. Many in the audience saw their own struggles reflected in Mustafa's story, and his message resonated deeply with people from all walks of life. His experience became a beacon of hope, a reminder that it's never too late to re-embrace the Sunnah and rediscover the timeless wisdom it offers. Mustafa's story began to circulate on social media, inspiring countless individuals who felt trapped in the relentless hustle of modern life. As Mustafa's journey continued, he delved deeper into the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, exploring the deeper meanings behind each practice. He began to appreciate that the Sunnah was not merely a checklist of rituals, but a holistic way of living that nurtures every aspect of our being. It's a guide that teaches us to balance our worldly ambitions with our spiritual needs, to live with humility, and to always remember the transient nature of material success. Mustafa also rekindled old friendships and mended strained relationships, understanding that the Sunnah encourages compassion and unity. His story became a living example of how a small yet steadfast commitment to the Prophet's way can lead to profound personal and communal transformation. The more he immersed himself in the Sunnah, the more he experienced the divine mercy that comes from aligning one's life with the principles of Islam. Now, as he reflects on his journey, Mustafa is grateful for every step, both the missteps and the moments of enlightenment. He realizes that neglecting the Sunnah once led him away from his true self, but returning to it has allowed him to rebuild the inner sanctuary that had always been his birthright. His life is a testament to the idea that true success is measured not by the accolades we accumulate, but by the serenity of our souls and the strength of our connections with others. As you listen to Mustafa's story, take a moment to ponder your own daily practices. Sus, ask yourself, are the small habits that once brought you inner peace still a part of your routine? What changes can you make today to reintroduce those simple yet profound acts of worship into your life? In our fast-paced world, it is all too easy to overlook the timeless guidance of the Sunnah. Yet, it is precisely in these moments of neglect that we risk losing the very essence of what keeps our hearts alive. Thank you for joining us on this extended journey into the consequences of neglecting the Sunnah. If Mustafa's story has resonated with you, and if you believe that returning to these timeless practices can rekindle your inner light, please like, share, and subscribe for more engaging Islamic content. May Allah guide us all to balance our worldly pursuits with our spiritual needs, fill our lives with His blessings, and keep our hearts ever connected to the divine